starting.
I
It's
want to
going
see the
on.
layout.
It is.
I like it.
Okay, I was gonna say it's real rough to start, but it at least is something for the time being. And
It's good.
We'll make it prettier when I have the full week to work on it, as opposed to just the day. Just
I mean, that
just the day.
pixel skeleton man's so smooth.
Yeah. I tried to I cut it out like super nice so that I got like all the pixels, and then I looked at it, I was like, that's not gonna look very good next to the Emmy art. So I was like, I'll just smooth out the man a little bit. So we
Oh
did.
god, what is happening?
It's loading, I think.
Is this correct? This isn't the emulator exploding, this is...
I think this is correct. We'll find out in a minute.
Professor Barton. Professor Barton.
Please stop saying Professor Barton.
What on earth are you
Professor
doing?
It's
Barton.
fine. Everything's fine.
You mustn't hypnotize her like this. She's not ready to remember the murders yet.
Helen,
Professor
those
Barton,
power
come on.
murders are fascinating research material for me. I must know the truth of what happened.
She can't take any more of this today, Professor. I'm taking her home.
Professor, sir. Wow, look at those
right.
polygons.
But remember one thing, Helen.
Yeah.
Maybe her guardian.
Everyone's got really tiny
My
legs.
assistant.
Yeah.
And I'm not entirely sure what the professor's wearing.
A suit and an ascot? Oh.
Yeah. Don't ignore that. That didn't happen.
I think it
Oh.
did.
Oh no.
Hold on. Oh no.
I'm an arrow now.
Yeah, it's like point and clicky. It's Listen,
Pretty point and clicky.
I had to deal with not night cries. We were just talking about that. I had to do Echo Night.
Yeah. You had to do sirens, so...
I had to do Siren. Oh god.
I can't say nothing. The scissors there. Big scissors.
It's the replica of the murder weapon.
Murder
Whoa!
I found him!
Perfect. You love to see it.
Clock
Hi,
tower
Luna.
murders.
Thank you for the contribution to the tattoo stream.
Do that as well. I forgot.
That's fine. I also forgot. I'm sorry, Luna, to disappoint. It's not fun scissors. It's not the lesbian scissors.
Just roommates.
And they were roommates.
Can I use doll now?
No. You have a guide.
Into the void.
If necessary.
It does kind of go, What's the panning technique? Or it's a bunch of little dots. That kind of happens when you...
Oh! They are giant murder scissors. So, kinda Kill la Kill style? Yeah.
That's one of those animes.
That is one of those animes.
Can't get that past me. You gotta wake up pretty early in the morning to sneak an anime past me. I want to see this weird purple blob.
Oh, what are you?
Cold statue. Oh, your secrets, blob. Little bear.
Look how cute it is. I like the terrifying skull mask.
Oh yeah, I didn't see that.
How could you not?
I was looking at the teddy bear.
It's just sitting there, staring.
Or just staring at me while I wander around. Two-dimensional mask. Not impressed by Scissorman's hat. Why does everyone have tiny legs?
It's Curse of the Cats, isn't it? Everyone's Dame Judi Dench now.
Oh no.
All their lower halves are just too small.
Hey, Danny. I don't know, Danny. I've only just started playing this character.
Helen's desk.
That's fine.
So matter of fact about it.
Still something I must do. Do I talk? Is this one of those games where you have to talk to him more than once?
I think
Yeah.
so, yeah.
This scissor man who's not even real. Would it be cool if Scissor Man were real?
No. I don't want to hang out with Scissor Man. Personally.
Doesn't seem great company.
You know, there's that whole, like, there's that old adage of, like, don't run with scissors and stuff. He's real bad about listening to that. Someone's gonna lose an eye for sure.
I thought he just walked menacingly with scissors.
He might, but
Are you allowed to
those are-
walk menacingly with scissors? Is that allowed?
I think there is a size limit on walking menacingly with scissors, and I think he overreaches that.
What do we need to do, guy? What do we need to do, Ascot man? Harris has gone somewhere. Typical
Right.
Harris.
Right, Selena, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it.
I've seen Scissorman's mask. Get out of here.
I need to find a better guide than the one I currently have, because that one just told me nothing.
Unbelievable. Do you think there's stuff over here?
Probably.
Oh, he can run. Look at him go.
Sir!
He zooms.
Zip zap.
Yeah, he goes kind of near where I'm aiming the cursor as well. Not that close, but like a little bit in the right direction. What are your secrets? Tell me your secret statue. Can I pick it up? Can I do things? The guides are confused because you're not supposed to be able to get stuck this quickly.
No, just all the guides like start in the wrong place.
But why?
Because they don't like us.
Scissors make me dizzy. Why?
That seems wrong.
Seems incorrect. I know, you've told me there's a faint smell of ammonia. Is there a use button that I am not seeing? Can I pick up items instead of just looking at them?
Um,
Just a light switch. Press it. Turn the lights off. Do it now. You won't do it.
he's just
Heavy
gonna
metal.
lean towards it. Did you talk to the lady multiple times?
I talked to her like 3 times.
Oh, okay.
I've talked to the man like 3 times.
Can we look at the computers?
I've looked at a few of them. I looked at all the ones I could get to. Okay, she's not saying anything new. She's just saying, don't keep the report away. Are you also saying, don't keep the reporter away? Please, man, it's time to go talk to the reporter. Why is he going now?
Everyone just had to tell you that, you know, can't keep the reporter waiting.
Are you reporter? Why are you so small, reporter? Oh, that's Harris.
I found
Harris,
a,
I'm like 2 feet taller than you.
I finally found a guide that actually says things about the game as opposed to just what it is. That's exciting.
They'll start like
They were just like, what is clock tower? And it's like,
the
that's...
definition of clock tower, according to Webster's dictionary, is. I know.
It's fine. We have an actual guide now. Is
I
clock
think
tower
this
now
area is
Kayshurrr
banned.
Fruity? Well, why did you go? Well, don't go there then.
I'll try not to go there.
Consider.
Is Jennifer?
Who is Harris? And what does he want with this child? I think Helen's like 14.
Okay, we said gross.
She's like an actual baby.
Oh,
What is this?
I got a spare cursor in case I need it later.
In case you lose yours.
Yeah.
In case yours gets got by the scissor man.
Someone just cuts your cursor in half and you can't click on anything. So you'd think I used the lift because they said to go to the first floor, but here's the thing, I can't use anything. It's a ruse. I can just walk back and forth in circles. Oh. Unless you've
go.
got to find the exact right spot.
It is a pixel game. You have to find the correct pixel. You're doing so good finding those pixels. Slash, why does this elevator not have a roof?
Why are the buttons arranged in the form of a dong?
Dong button.
Hi, Tim. Like his backwards cap.
What a cool guy. Backwards cap in a vest.
Yeah. Bright pink sleeves.
Have you figured out who the Scissor Man is?
Am I a cop?
I think you're like a psychologist or something.
Alright.
But like a criminal psychologist. So yeah, basically a cop.
Yeah, he's gonna obviously gonna work out who we're profiling him right now. Someone with access to very large scissors.
Possibly a seamster for giants.
Possibly. Is Tim supposed to have a camera from him making camera sounds and pointing his hands at me
Yeah.
like that?
Yeah. Maybe it's just invisible.
Unbelievable. Can the mods do something about the troll in chat?
I see nothing wrong. I don't know what you're talking about. All looks kosher here.
No. Symbol of terror among youngsters.
Trashy gossip magazines. The lowest of blows.
Paul Nolan.
Also, rip it and
Oh.
rip it.
Ah, it didn't pick up.
Mm,
Dang.
well, it did on stream.
Rip and rip it.
I put it too close to the microphone is what happened.
It's just an odd screwball.
Oh, I see, but...
Why are you so mad, Ben? I think you should be allowed to talk to the press, Batten.
Don't think he's the man for the job?
No.
Oh.
Gotta get back to the lab. We're doing psychology in a lab?
Sounds dubious.
Which one was I on? Can't find the trigger warnings, so we've given it a best go.
Yeah.
Can I use any of these doors?
Yes, the lab where you psychotheologies.
The brain lab.
This is correct. Oh, as a heads up, this game makes you make big decisions without knowing that you've made big decisions.
Oh, okay. Have we
So,
already made big decisions?
yes. And I think another big decision is coming up.
Okay.
Don't worry about it.
It's fine.
I think most of them just have to do with like the different endings that you can get.
Figured the first run was just going to be blundering through and getting the worst possible ending without
Oh yeah, 100%.
having any idea that I'd made any decisions in the entire game.
Oh, for sure. But just letting you know that things you do make a difference.
I need to look at this blob.
Do you want to give this statue to the librarian?
But we gotta show it to the old butler named Rick first.
Do you want to give it to a librarian or a butler? Something tells me neither of these people are like experts on statues.
Ask Harris, never. Oh, dang, did I forget? I didn't want to give it to Harris, because he doesn't deserve my blob. But I did want to give it to Rick, the old butler. He's very qualified.
To the librarian, though. Also, thank you, Nem, for the contribution to the tattoo stream as well.
Can I have the mound? I want it. Can I put the mound in my pocket?
No, because the mound's going to the librarian. No mound for you.
I want it.
No.
Okay, I can't leave the screen that way, so I guess I can go through the door now. Butlers are effectively half statue.
Hello, child.
Child, are you aware you have holes in your
Oh no!
shirt?
Child, why do you have holes in your shirt?
Just kid stuff, running around, sliding on his knees.
I was running errands earlier today, and I ran into one of the families that I used to daycare for. Like, at the daycare, I saw the parents and one of the kids that I used to watch, and they recognized me, and it was precious. Oh my god, he's grown up so much! It has almost been like 3 years, but holy shit!
Tell me about Scissor Man. It's cool.
Tell me
Did they
about
ask you what doing for old time's sake? Oh dang, it was 7.
different kid. I wish so. No, but they've got a younger sibling now, and like
Game.
again they've gotten so tall. It's just wild.
I think I will go out for a while.
Jennifer, you fucking nerd.
Where shall I go? Being aware that my consequences have actions.
Wait a second.
Don't worry about it. All of these places do not sound fun. Let's go to the library.
Here's the thing. Jennifer's a fucking nerd.
Yeah, that's true.
You wanna go to the library? See if Mr. Sullivan has that blob? Are you just determined to get this blob?
I just want the blob. Just let me touch the blob.
Give blob.
Look at this man.
He is also a blob.
Yeah.
This is what I understand why we were trying to give him the blob now.
Blob expert. Himself blob. Oh wow. A bunch of rocks. Sounds lovely. Is that we just came to say bye, Mr. Sullivan?
Is that it? Oh no.
Well, sometimes you gotta just go say goodbye to someone. We are in Nerd. Let's go to the University Research Building.
Just show up and go, I'm leaving. As
Yeah.
soon as you get there. I know this move.
I'm leaving.
I've seen this move before.
Oh, this is where it just was.
Jennifer says, I know nothing but the psychology labs now. Oh, that's Helen.
Oh,
Sad.
computer was broken. She's got technical difficulties.
Exclamation point outage.
Oh. Oh. Is there anyone else we have to say goodbye to? Well, don't.
Don't
Okay,
offer
so we're
it.
not allowed to go there. She doesn't want to. I don't know why it's an option. Are we going to the hotel? What kind of boy is Edward?
Edward's little kid that we saw with the holes in his shirt.
Yeah,
Edward.
he's still got holes in his shirt.
Still got holes.
Same shirt.
Just the one, actually?
Do you think he has a bunch of shirts with a hole in exactly the same spot?
It's a fashion choice for him now.
Yeah.
It's his Sunday shirt. Does his Monday shirt not have a hole in it?
Different hole. He is Edward. Hello, Edward.
Edward. Oh, I get it. Because it's the holy day. Hello, traumatized child. Come hang out with this other traumatized child.
Yeah.
It'll be a great time.
We'll talk about the Scissor Man.
If we're being perfectly honest, being named the Scissor Man is not that threatening. Doesn't sound that scary. Hello.
Not a lot of uses for scissors that are very scary. Maybe if you were making Halloween decorations with them. It's the man.
Hello, man.
Nolan.
Did he just let himself into her bedroom?
Apparently we're stood in front of the house.
So we've let him into the bedroom.
Or he snuck through when we opened the door. That's what Lister would do.
Perfect.
Nolan.
Nolan, be very careful about what you say here. Jennifer is a baby.
The rabbit's watching.
That's horrific. I hate that. I didn't notice it, and I don't like it. Now all I can do is stare at it.
He won't go in. I don't like it. I don't even know why.
All those stomps, though.
I love the old one. Oh, it's that thing with the street lamps, and every time you walk between them, it's like 4 hours.
Oh no. No, I'd forgotten about the stupid street lamp. Also, yeah, no, definitely. His name is No Ian, not Nolan. No Ian.
No, Ian.
Hello, sir.
What's wrong?
Help!
He's a
Such
wiggly
voice
man.
acting?
Someone is following me.
Some kind of weirdo?
Some kind of weirdo. He's hopping.
Oh no.
I should leave.
Hi, Cyril.
Hey, Cyril.
It's scissor time.
Oh no. Ah, whoa.
Oh!
I probably
Oh,
shouldn't try and go past
No!
him. That went poorly. Dead end.
You just got scissored.
Oh no. Oh no.
It's just clock tower stuff.
Let's go back out.
Do you
Bad
want
in here.
to?
Yeah.
Isn't that the way he came?
Yeah, but check this out. I can walk slightly faster than Scissor Man. We'll hide in the bathroom. It'll be fine in there.
I don't know about that.
Scissor Man's not gonna stab someone who's pooping.
I don't know about that.
Scissor Man would never.
I like how your shadow is just squares. Oh no. Oh no.
Do I hit him on the head with the broom? Yes! This way.
Perfect.
Why can't I go? I want to go out the door.
The scissor man is gonna cut you in half. He doesn't care about your thumbs.
He has very large scissors.
He just wants to do a big old murder.
Why am I running upstairs instead of just out of the building? That sounds sensible.
Up means safety, right?
Yeah, definitely. A helicopter's coming to pick me up on the roof.
Scissorman does have goals. I can't stress enough how not gay this is.
Nope.
Oh no!
All of the chunks are out.
Her insides are outside. I like that the bottom of her hair is just like a rake.
Yeah. It's bad in there. Let's leave. Does sound pretty gay.
That's where it gets you though. It sounds gay, but it's not. It lures you in with the promise of gay.
I put on the mask and then tell him I'm Scissor Man actually, and he has to leave.
No, I'm the Scissor Man. No, I'm the Scissor Man.
I'm Dirty Dan. Sylvie!
Hi, Sylvie.
Ooh. Can we have the can of mace? Pick up the can of mace. Why would you not?
You fool!
Oh, I can't touch the can of mace. It's not mine.
It's yours now, Helen. Take it. Not Helen, Jennifer. Oh no.
One day Mama said,
That's
Conrad
Helen's.
dear,
That's
I must go
Helen's,
out and leave you here.
Can
But
of
mind
mace.
now,
I can't do
Conrad,
nothing with it.
what I say, don't suck
It's
your
not the
thumb
done
while I'm
thing.
away. The great tall tailor always comes to little boys who suck their thumbs. And ere they dream what he's about, he takes his great sharp scissors out, and cuts their thumbs clean off.
You got anything
And
I can
then,
loot?
you
Can
know,
I loot
they
the
never grow
telephone?
again.
The thumbs
Scissor
don't
Man
go that
cut
long.
the phone cables.
Of course he did.
Classic Scissor Man move.
Classic. Thank you for the bits, Allie. I am familiar with the Scissor Man tale to get kids to stop sucking their thumbs. This is a different Scissor Man. But
Can I
also, thank you
take
for
the other
work, Sylvie.
scissors?
They're
And
gone!
then we can scissor. Okay, I guess the replica
not-
scissors are
They're not there!
cheap table.
We spent the entire funding on the replica scissors! Name one time, Cyril. Name once. When have I ever said something that's never been said in real life before?
Never ever.
Not even once.
We totally speak English and not some weird language that we've just invented.
Listen, the quotes, those were all said in real life.
It's true.
But also, I'm not gonna bite into a block of cream cheese. That's gross. The way that I just read LMFSO as laughing my shirt off. Okay, but I say it, so it's a thing. Don't worry about it.
Why your secrets plan? I don't trust that plan.
I do like that the characters, like, lean in briefly to look at things.
Yeah, I thought she was smelling the plant.
Yo, it's also hot as balls here. It is less hot than it has been, but it's still very hot. Please stay cool, friends. Anyone dealing with heat, please stay cool.
Friends don't melt.
Don't melt, friends! Friends no melt!
Hello.
I've reached Helen. Didn't cut all the phone
I'm not home right
cables.
now, but please leave a message after the tone.
Leave a message after what?
Just after.
No, leave a message.
There was no tone. She couldn't.
Scissorman did this. Took away the tone.
This is horrible. Gotta check each and every one of them.
Umbrellas. Take an umbrella. Powerful weapon. Pair of underpants hanging up to dry.
Why?
Done.
Why?
What was that you missed, lady? We're getting a fax? Okay. I never know when I'm allowed to control the game and when I'm not. Can I go?
No, it's still making the fax noise. Good move, hovering the cursor over something you know you can interact with.
Yeah. I'll keep that in mind. He's coming to get ya!
Yeah! Where are you gonna hide? What are you gonna do?
Don't hide in the underpants one. Can we take the umbrella and hit him with it?
No, the umbrella's the weakest weapon in the game!
They'll never find me in here. Which is exactly why I'm not gonna hide there. It wouldn't be spying.
Oh no.
There is the can of mace out here.
Or Scissorman is just trying to be inclusive to everyone and is planning on getting everyone. Consider.
Now that we know Scissorman is coming to get ya, can we have the can of mace, please?
Take the can. Take the can.
Don't need it.
Take the can.
Don't need it.
Okay.
Let's just keep going up.
Okay.
Everything's
That's-
fine.
That's fine. You know, he has threatened to come get ya, but I don't see him.
Yeah, exactly.
Feels like an empty threat.
He's getting no one. I
No,
remain
no one's
ungotten,
got.
Scissorman.
No one's getting got. No one's getting got.
Anyone dead in here? Oh. Well, I don't know why you thought that. That's crazy.
Wasn't that on a lower level anyway?
On the lower floor, there were a dead person in one of those.
Well, yeah, but when she was like, I thought Scissorman was in here. I thought that was...
Oh yeah, we're never in that one that we know
Yeah.
of.
So why is... Hey Jennifer, do you know where you are?
Paranoid. She thinks Scissorman's on the other side of every door. She's having a bad day.
Well, maybe she should be less of a nerd.
Fire extinguisher.
No
Can I
fire
extinguish a Scissorman?
Does he constitute as a fire? Is Scissorman
Probably
a
not.
fire?
Probably wouldn't be allowed to extinguish Scissorman. Whoops. Bunk beds for napping. This is the nap room.
Good room.
There is no one outside.
Hmm. Hmm.
Can I pick this up and hit Scissorman over the head with it? Can I exit? Who would lock this?
Do we need key?
Yeah, because someone's locked the fire escape. Which is bad and wrong. Even Scissorman wouldn't do this. He sunk so low to lock the fire escape. Oh, there he is.
Oh no.
Can I go back out? I want to leave.
Kill!
That's a bad
How's
screen.
How's he do that?
Can
Jennifer?
I go?
Jennifer?
What am I meant to do when that happens? She wouldn't leave.
I think generally I can't leave, then probably find something in the room to stop him?
I think she was supposed to leave, but she just walked. She got confused with the door and just walked back and forth.
Oh.
But I don't know what to do when it's flashing. It feels like it should be doing something, but
Let me see.
let's just not be here. Just not deal with this Scissor Man. I'm gonna go get the fire extinguisher, Scissor Man. You're gonna get extinguished. Here, scissors. Oh,
Ah!
can't use the fire extinguisher. This is a horrible idea.
Oh no.
Banned.
Okay. At least the game checkpoints.
Yeah. Okay, don't do that. That's not allowed. That's a decoy fire extinguisher. Scissor Man put that there. It's impossible to use that against him. Oh, I don't checkpoint here.
Enjoy your big greasy sandwiches, Cyril.
Damn, what do I do? There's a tiny Scissor Man coming. Can I use this before Scissor Man comes in? I can, but if he opens the door, I'm not allowed anymore.
Okay.
Got him.
Good
Destroyed.
job. So I'm assuming that the flashes are the mechanic. Hold on, I had it,
Possibly?
and then I lost it. So during the game, each character has 3 levels of strength indicated by the cursor color. Strength decreases after extreme action or after being attacked and recovers with time.
But when I get attacked, I die instantly.
Yeah. Hold on. For example, if you encounter Scissor Man using the panic button, your strength decreases by 1 level. If your strength is already at the lowest level, the red cursor, and you encounter Scissor Man, your strength goes down to 0. You will be killed no matter how much you rapidly press the panic button.
What is the panic button?
I wonder if it's just the action button?
I clicked many buttons. I normally mash every single button on the controller when it happens.
Square button.
Square button. Weird.
Use this panic button. Rapid, repeated clicking in panic mode can get you out of a tight spot.
I've been everywhere and looked at everything, and I don't know where the key is. Can I just go out the front door? Is that allowed? Did Scissorman lock the door when he came in?
There's another fire extinguisher.
There is. Everything's locked.
Scissor Man! Sir, please.
Fucking Scissorman. I know where there's the can of mace. Maybe I can use that on him. Was it on this floor, actually? I don't remember. It's fine. It's just Scissorman.
You can hear him clicking his scissors menacingly.
He'll do it.
Hey!
Can of mace, let's go. Time of mace, Scissorman. Yeah!
I do kind of like that you have to, like, prep your actions.
He ran away.
Bye.
Poor little guy.
Okay, so... On the...
I didn't really check the ground floor yet.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it looks like there might be some things on the ground floor.
It's possible. There was a Scissorman in a lot.
There was a scissor man. But it looks like there are a couple of items on the ground floor. And if you
Got
want
that in the
more...
back pocket now. No one can
more-
take that Scissorman away from us. I tried.
Thank you. If you want more specific direction about where things are, let me know, and I will attempt to.
I'll wander in
decipher.
blindly for a little while first. You in this one as well, Scissorman? No, that one's locked.
He's in every locker. A scissor man in every locker. Sir.
Fuck off, Scissorman!
You are showing up too often. Go get that fire extinguisher.
I think I did. No, I'm not allowed.
No. Oh,
Let's
no.
just leave.
Square, 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 square!
It doesn't work. You just die.
This is horrible. Scissor man. Why are you like this?
Hey!
There you
It worked that
go.
time.
Thank you, Jennifer. I think the fire extinguisher is my favorite just because he stands there and wiggles.
Really panicking. Didn't like that at all.
Good to know the square button doesn't work for him either.
Apparently.
What's this?
Hint number 2.
Great. What did the hints do?
No idea.
Hints, what are you about?
How do I hint? Did we check this one? Which one is this even? The one at the front or the one at the back? There is nothing strange inside.
Defend yourself with that bite.
Yeah,
Apparently,
like Yakuza.
Hints, hints just help you figure out how to get the best ending. So useless.
Useless.
Not necessary.
Trash. Get him out of here.
Do the fire extinguishers and stuff respawn?
I assumed that they ran out, but I have no idea.
Okay.
I've been to Helen's lab, right? Every door is locked. I just don't wanted to see what she said.
That's fair.
That's the bathroom where we met Scissor Man.
Yeah. Throwing bonkdom with a broom.
Very good.
That was very good. The ways you fool this man are very silly, and I'm here for it.
Hello, sir. I would like to report a crime.
Excuse me?
Oh no!
Uh-oh!
Has he got anything in his pockets? I don't think she's gonna look.
Well, I've said it now.
Key. Oh, I got the ladder
Ladder
key. Let's just leave. Fuck everything.
Get the fuck out.
I've run out of fire extinguishers. Let's leave.
It's time to go.
I feel like Scissorman's probably hiding in the lift.
Don't go in the lift then.
Yeah.
It's bad in there. There's scissor men's in there. Everyone's freaking out about the things that I say, and I don't know why.
Everyone's always saying there's a Scissorman in every locker. I hear that once a day at least.
See, you just gotta know the right people. Sounds like you're not hanging out with cool folks, Cyril.
Use the fucking key on the ladder. Use the key, though!
How?
Lady, you have a key. You have a ladder key. Use the key. How do I use the item on the... How do I use...
Should be automatic? Hold on.
How do I use key on key? Oh. Am my controls so wrong?
Maybe.
Really check.
Oh. We
Can't
get to
check
see.
unless the game's... Unless we reset the game.
Oh no.
Is the ladder key for this door? That isn't the ladder? No. I can't use items and the square button don't work.
Hold on. I'm looking.
Let me make
to
sure.
To use an item that you picked up, move the cursor to the top of the screen to display the
Oh
current
my
inventory
god.
items.
Okay, found it. It's where the cursor were hiding at the top.
This guide is like legit 5 times longer than any of the other ones that I found, so it takes me a minute to look at the different sections.
I made a ladder.
Hey, it's time to leave.
Yeah. Had enough playing with Scissor Man.
Jennifer, do you have
He
to
doesn't cut the
pay
ladder
up?
with his scissors.
Those would be some impressive scissors if he did.
They're pretty impressive scissors.
Hey,
Except
listen,
that guy's noggin off.
size isn't everything, alright?
I guess you're right.
And then, do you want to check your settings now that you are saving?
I could do.
Just to make
Should
sure
be
it's-
right. So messing around earlier.
in the
Does sometimes change though.
It's
I
up
don't
to
even
you.
know. Hang on a second.
Hanging on.
Look at this Wallace and Gromit character here. That's all.
Perfect. Beautiful. Gonna edit that and add it as a follower emote.
Oh, jeez. Get rid of Yorika.
Yeah, we have to update at least one of the follower emotes to reflect whatever weird weekend game we're playing now. It's just how it works. I don't make
Why are
rules.
they talking about, well, Scissorman may or may not exist in front of the lady who's just been chased by Scissorman?
Because they're all horrible. That's why.
Oh. Is this Jennifer, this Wallace and Gromit character?
That's Helen.
Okay, this is Jennifer.
Jennifer has the rake hair.
Rick hair is Jennifer.
Wallace and Gromit character is Helen.
Play-Doh head is Helen.
Play-Doh. Yeah. Yeah. Accurate. Correct.
What should I do now?
That's a good question.
Go to the library. Let's not go to the library. Let's not go to the University Research Building. It's bad there. Let's go hang out at the police station. Edward, did you see a scissor man? Maybe that's how he got a hole in his t-shirt. From the scissor man.
Scissorman poked him just a little bit, but didn't quite get him.
Did she
Probably
walk
really.
in, say, I know there is no one here, and then just leave?
Helen, what are you doing? No,
What is
Jennifer.
no Ian doing?
No, Ian. No.
Oh,
Ian. Game.
that's not no Ian, that's Tim.
That's camera.
That's the cameraman who was with no Ian.
Seems legit.
I am Jennifer. I worked that out a minute ago.
Am I Jennifer?
Am I Figment? Am I no Ian?
Why? No, Ian. Aren't we all no, Ian?
They're gonna ask me questions till the cows come home. Oh no!
Seems legit. When do those cows come home, though? I'm worried about cows.
So we really going back to the University Research Building?
It's nice there, actually.
Yeah. They've cleaned up all the decaffeinated bodies already. It's fine.
Don't let this one incident Takiata come into the university. It's actually nice there.
It's just one minor incident, and you say it's not a good place to hang out.
Terrible. How prejudiced of you.
I remember the mound. I love the mound. Someone stole the mound.
Where did Professor Barton go?
It's gone.
You remember where you sent the mound? Where did mound go?
One for the library, and one for a man named Rick. An old butler man named Rick.
He didn't work this hard to become a butler for you to just ignore that.
So I have to go see Rick. Even though I know that I gave it straight to the library.
Yeah, sounds legit. Let's go.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's go talk to Rick. Nolan, do you know Rick?
No, Ian?
Who is No Ian?
I don't trust no Ian. Something seems fishy about him.
I need at least some Ian.
at least a touch of Ian, please.
Just a hint of Ian.
Mm-hmm.
They have such powerful noses, these models.
It's where they put all of the polygons.
Yeah.
Directly into the nose.
Do you know Rick?
No, Rick.
It's the old butler man.
Butler man.
He didn't. Give it to the library.
Oh,
Unless I
jeez.
was very confused and didn't understand what I was doing a whole lot.
I'm sure it's fine, though. Definitely won't cause issues in the future.
Do I want to ask No Ian? No. To ask No Ian anything, please.
Never ask no Ian.
Edward.
Edward?
This chapter is called Edward.
Edward? Eduardo.
I'm never sure when I can skip the text on, so anytime the cursor just pulses, it's just me making sure if I can make the text go. Whoa, glass door. Fancy. That's the child. That's the Edward.
That's the kid with the hole in his shirt.
Yeah. He's very long until he gets to about here, and then he has tiny little legs.
This game not particularly good with proportions. Are we at the library?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think. There's bugs here. Where else would there be bugs?
Good point. Good point.
Bugs live in the library, I know this.
It's true.
It's another one of those locked buildings.
Terrible.
Scissorman's gonna be here. It's gonna be horrible. Hello, Sullivan. Look at that little face peeking.
It just wants to say hi, but it's really shy.
Okay, that's fine. It's fine. Yeah. Gonna go get the statue on my way out. The mound.
Nice,
The
nice.
mysterious mound.
I love Mound here.
I love mound.
Mound would never betray us for Scissorman. Mound is good.
Okay, this seems to be an automatic key. Some keys work on their own, other keys hide up here and you have to drag them back down.
Good to know.
The same room as the other room.
Listen, they can't make individual assets for every single room, okay?
Any of these books on the Scissor Man? This isn't the Scissor Man section. There's a step ladder.
You wanna do something with that?
I wanna
You wanna
hit.
use that?
I wanna pull it out from under the ring and slam it over Scissor Man's head.
Powerful.
Don't, ma'am, don't look at that book. We've looked at that book. We're not taking that book. Remember, so we don't need to touch it. Don't need to think about it. Why is that vent so pronounced?
I bet a
How do
Scissorman crawls out through there.
Oh yeah, that'll do it.
That's my guess. You might
Have
call
I
it silly,
used this area? England books. Horrible. Worst
but... What does
section.
that mean?
Books relating to England. There's no way to make the cursor hit any of the other places in this room.
Oh, jeez.
It's not in here. Let's just go. Ah! Is Scissorman England?
Murders did take place in England, I think. Is Scissorman England?
Scissorman, are you England? Oh, now she'll climb the thing.
No.
Lords of Northern England, the Scissorman. Scissorman's from the north. We'll never defeat him.
Who is this? And where
That's
is
Len.
her face?
I found a clue about Scissorman.
Oh.
He's from England.
Not England. Also, no emo just dropped.
It's horrible. I love it. That didn't work in my chat.
Oh, well, maybe you need to. Sorry.
Can we run that back?
Decaffeinated.
Decaffeinated.
Also, thank you, Travis, for the contribution to the tattoo stream.
I feel like just calmly walking away from this tiny stab goblin.
If
Nope,
people around
it's
you
not
want to
allowed.
cause drama, all you gotta do is walk away. Yay, yay.
My plan to hit Scissorman on the head with the stepladder, it's probably not going to work, is it?
No, but maybe we'll get to see him, see the man get decaffeinated again. Holy
Never mind.
shit! I'm very excited about this. Hell yeah!
Just destroyed.
I think Scissorman is like my new favorite
Helen?
slasher.
I think
I just-
Scissorman is dead.
He'll come back. Scissorman always comes back.
It just gets dunked worse than the Wet Bandits. It just has a horrible time.
It's very good. I just have a soft spot in my heart for slashers who just constantly get owned. Like Ghostface. And now Scissorman.
Just eats shit every time he tries to get you.
It's very good.
Feel bad for him.
though.
He's just a little guy.
He's just a
Look inside.
I love our little guy. What a good guy.
Oh.
Did you get a key?
Yeah, to the collection room.
Nice.
I'd just come out of the collection room. So I was kind of surprised when it was locked. Oh, this is a totally different place.
It's very dark in here.
It's fine.
Probably what all the bubbly noises are. Is the aquarium. This is horrible.
Scissorman, are you hiding in the aquarium?
What is he doing?
Is he coming? Oh, yes. Can't go upstairs.
I love him.
Probably can't dunk him with the ladder again. Probably wise to that move.
Unless. Oh,
Are there two Scissormans?
there shouldn't be.
How many Scissormans are there here?
I mean, we did mention that there was a Scissorman in every locker, so at least 5?
Let's just walk on up here.
Also, not the wet floors. That means the Scissorman's wet too. His little shoes are gonna be so damp and squishy. I hate that. Oh,
No, I can fuck with an Arissa.
that's a problem.
Yeah.
Dang.
You die instantly.
Weird.
Yeah. Maybe I have to press it before he gets me? Oh, maybe it's a timing thing and I'm pressing it too soon?
I'm gonna go look at the comment again about how that works.
Yeah, if I press it before, it doesn't do it.
Okay.
I might be locked into dying
Oh.
over and over again here because I have gone through 2 rooms with him following behind me.
Oh, that's a problem.
Yeah, I have to go back down the stairs to leave.
Oh Oh!
Oh, yeah, the thing happened.
How'd you do that?
I
Can,
don't know.
Can you do it again?
Good question.
Oh.
Let's go in this one. We haven't checked if there's things in here that I can use to defeat Scissor Man.
Now it's your turn to hide in the aquarium.
Yeah. Just look like a fish. What are we doing?
You hiding under there? No, you're.
Are we stabbing Scissor Man?
Sorry.
We're just bopping him.
Just gonna keep bonking the boy.
Oh boy.
Thank you, Stars, for the contribution. Sometimes you just gotta bonk a lad. Yeah, tattoo stream.
Found the thing.
Thank you, Cyril. Welcome in, Orchid Show. Thank you, Ellie, for the contribution to the tattoo stream as well. I love all of the bonks. Just constantly owning Scissor Man. I'm here for it. But yeah, we have a community challenge where if we hit the goal, I'll tattoo myself on stream because I want to get a tattoo and I really like doing stick and pokes. I'm either gonna do a wizard's dog or a pants boar. We'll see which one I'm feeling. Maybe we'll do both.
Happy to show off new sword bonk stuff. Interested parts.
Gotta show off all the ways that you can do a goof on Scissor Man.
You can prank Scissor Man a variety of ways.
Love it. I'm here for it.
There, go through that. Yeah, it is a vent. I agree.
Event. Oh, I thought she said if only I were a little bigger, and I was like, what?
Were I larger, I'd be able to open this vent.
Great. Also, hi, Stars. Get those zoomies out. Just zoom around. My water is no longer cold, and I'm very upset.
Horrible.
It's not quite room temperature, but it's close enough that I hate it.
Okay, so this man is dead, but let's go say hi.
What do you
That don't look
mean?
correct. You okay over there, guy?
She's just really into looking at those books.
Oh, for God's sake, Scissor Man.
We're sick of your shit, my guy! I'll be real dang quiet. Don't let the Scissor Man hear ya.
We're hiding. We're hiding from Scissor Man. Doesn't suspect a thing.
Your sandwich wasn't good? This is
Awful.
I'm so sorry.
Who would give Cyril a bad sandwich?
I'm gonna find him and I'm gonna beat him up.
What kind of person?
Also, updating content warnings reflect the fact that there are in fact heartbeats in this game every so often.
Ah, jeez.
You gave yourself a bad sandwich, Cyril! Cyril! Why would you do that?
Why would Cyril do this? "50,000 people used to live here. Now it's a ghost town."
Oh no. Oh no.
Always. Wonder what those red stains could be. Could be anything.
Who knows? Also, wish me luck. I'm trying a new water flavor.
Good luck with new water flavor.
It's peach mango.
Nice. Sounds nice. Probably nice.
Smells nice.
Someone has spilled pasta all over these books.
Oh, and it's not colored either. It's just clear.
Helen?
Oh, what?
Edward. He's in this room.
Edward. Edward.
Edward, what are you doing in here? You
Ralph,
fool.
why would you do this? Oh,
No, oh no, oh no!
did I do
You
it?
did it!
Hey!
You did it!
I'm actually like a dang fiend.
You gotta!
Scissor Man, I've used all the things. What do I do? What do I do, Scissor Man?
Scissor Man, how else can we just goof ya? What other pranks can we pull on you, Scissor Man?
Scissor Man, I don't know any other fun pranks to play on you. I don't know why I thought, hey, maybe I can do something with the vent. Yeah, definitely. That's how things work.
Uh-oh.
I didn't realize it was it was in the action thingy.
Uh-oh.
I wasn't pressing the button. I thought I was still walking around.
Also, verdict on, peach mango? It's incredibly subtle. It's almost like nothing's in my water.
Is that good or bad?
It is... indifferent. It's not
Oh,
great,
let's see.
but it's not horrible.
Can I hide down here? No, that's a bad place to
Uh-oh,
hide.
uh-oh, uh-oh, uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Can
Uh-oh.
I activate door? Apparently not.
Uh-oh!
Door is banned. I'll just start mashing square right away. Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad we understand how this mechanic works now.
Oh, now I can move. How many times is Scissor Man gonna fall for this? Realistically.
I mean, as long as he doesn't see you hide there? Question mark?
Go away, Scissor Man. Hopping guy with his wizard power. Can control ropes. Apparently that just works.
Hey!
He just- Scissor Man just wouldn't think to look there. Now we have to go all the way back up, I guess.
Canonically, he may or may not be an omniscient supernatural demon, but for the purposes of the game, let's assume he can't see through reception desks. Look, reception desks are terrifying and horrible, and I also wouldn't want to see behind them. So, you know, can't blame him.
His only weakness is being bopped on the head or having the person leave his line of sight. It's the only way to stop him. Pin number 7. Apparently Edward's not actually here.
Edward. I'm sure the kid's fine.
I've been rused again. By Scissor Man.
Scissor Man's pulling the pranks now.
Yeah. Luckily I haven't figured out my reception desk prank. Can't go over there. I can't go anywhere. I've been everywhere. Well, where do I go?
Looking, considering, contemplating even. Have you been to the reading room?
I think so.
Wait, maybe collection room again?
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 I can do. I'm right by it.
There may be a thing in there? This is a genuine there might be, but I'm uncertain.
Many of Mr. Sullivan's artifacts. There are swords here. One of them is on the floor now. I can never touch it again.
It lives there now.
I want to say there's nothing else here. Unless there's like a tiny pixel that I need to click on that I can't find. But I've checked everything twice.
It might be time to go back to the front desk.
But that's where I hide from the Scissor Man.
You don't want to be hiding from Scissor Man when you go to front desk.
Okay. I guess we can try that. Go to front desk, but not to hide it, to hide in that one spot.
You would like to visit the front desk, but not for hiding purposes. Just for visiting purposes. is my general understanding. Again, this is a very wiggly guide. And it does things.
I did notice I could go through here when it wasn't a hiding action. I should probably have gone through here. There's a door here that I haven't been in. I kept trying to click the door, but you had to go through the barrier before you could click the door. Scissor Man.
There we go.
Scissor Man.
I'm sure it's fine, though.
I can't hide behind the desk if he's on this side.
I'm sure it's fine, though.
Is he gonna send me another fax?
I'm gonna get ya!
Everything's normal here. If I just don't look at him.
What if I were to say you need to look at him? What then?
Ugh.
What would you do then?
Scissor Man. Had it up to here, will you?
I'm sorry, where?
Edward,
Had it
I
up to
thought
where?
you'd still be here.
Had it up to here!
It's dangerous here. Come with me.
It's Edward. It's not Scissorman.
What if Edward is Scissorman?
Tiny baby.
Edward, you hide
Consider.
under this table until
he's
I
a
call
he's
you.
a little guy.
He is just a little guy. Oh, like
Hey
I
Edward,
just like
why don't you
Don't
go out
fall
through
in.
the vent?
Edward, you're a small boy.
Yeah. Edward should be hiding under this table.
Have we?
Wife, use child on vent. Yeet boy in hole.
I thought it was put man in hole.
Put tiny man in hole.
You might need a screwdriver, as it mentions screws. That
It would be the-
would
Screwdriver.
Would you like to know where it is?
I can. I'll check behind the reception desk
Okay.
because I haven't been there.
Okay.
Oh, I have been there a little bit, but I ain't fully explored back there.
Oh.
And it's safe there, and we like it there.
We do like it behind the reception desk. It is kind of nice.
Yeah.
Hi,
We can hang out. Oh, Devo.
Devo.
It's Devo up top.
He's just pacing under the desk. Hello, buddy. Come here, my little guy.
It's just hanging out.
Come here.
This is fine. Someone called the police.
Good boy.
Why don't you come into the building, police?
That's too much noise. This is horrible.
Police, please. Please use the door to come into the building. Just give it some oomph.
Ow!
Is this a
Tell
plant?
Edward you've already
Does the
said.
plant have a screwdriver? I think the plant is very useful. Take his screwdriver.
But that's his screwdriver.
My screwdriver now.
No, you have to get your own. You have to get your own that doesn't belong to plant.
I don't know where the screwdriver is.
You are in the correct room.
Oh, nice. I shouldn't have even asked. It was right there.
No, you want to be in here. Oh,
Yeah,
wait,
I got
it. You picked it up. Okay.
Yeah.
I like completely missed.
Screwdriver, no.
Good job.
Ready to go. Save a baby.
Hey, did you know that Devo's a sweet little boy? He's kind of a cool guy. Is
Kind of a
Devo.
fun little guy.
Sweet little goober.
I'm sorry I missed the horror fest today.
That's okay. We watched Poltergeist. It was good. We're gonna watch the new
Seen
one
the
next
Skelly
week.
Friends.
The Skelly Friend pool party scene in Poltergeist genuinely traumatized me as a child to the point that I couldn't swim in a swimming pool for a solid year after I watched that movie.
Please just use the screwdriver on the vent lady. I don't have time for this.
Come out from there and come over here. Edward, you can probably squeeze through here to the outside.
How do you know this
Hurry,
vent goes
run away from here.
outside? Is my question.
Okay, I will.
Yeah, ponds and oceans and all that stuff, I was fine to swim in. It was specifically swimming pools that I had a problem with. which was very unfortunate because like a week or two after we watched Poltergeist, my mom and I went to Arizona to visit a friend of hers, and they had a pool, and they were like, "Oh, you're gonna have so much fun swimming in that," and no one would let me not swim, so I had to go swim,
Oh,
and I
jeez.
hated it. I definitely like cried a lot while in the water.
She's going on her own. Oh,
Hey,
it's
Teach,
man.
what's going on?
It's Gots.
Teach, hang in there.
Hi, man. If you were a small man and been affected by mesothelioma. Oh my god. Now the real question is, are you absolutely hating this?
I'm not hating it.
Okay.
I do enjoy dunking on the small scissor chap.
Yes, tiny scissor chap.
Yeah, little scissor chap.
Little snipping lad.
Little snipping lad. I want to see this old butler Rick. Never mind. I can just look at Rick's house, say, "This is the house of Rick," and then leave.
This is the house of Rick. Thank you for the hydrate now. Gonna chuck my
I might go
weird
get another
water.
soda.
You want to take a short break?
Yeah,
Ah!
quick one.
I say as I knock everything over. This is fine, because I got a package and I need to go get it from outside.
Okay, well, we'll pause after they've stopped talking.
Cease your speaking!
We got the statue. We're doing so good.
Hey!
Okay, this is fine. We'll just not advance the dialogue. We'll just stare at this funny little mess in the background.
Alright, well, we will take a very short break, go grab
Be right back.
drinks, go pee, go do the things, and we'll be back in a minute.
Are we back?
Yay, we're
Are we
back.
going?
We're going.
Should I advance this dialogue so these people
Yeah.
are just staring at each other
Just
forever?
awkwardly staring for the last 10 minutes. Yeah, do it.
Yeah. But more importantly, do we find a Scissorman clue?
No, definitely not. Oh, I
Is
guess
this...
she did read that book about England.
We found where the Barrows family come from. They come from the Barrows Castle. I think we should have
Classic.
checked that.
Right?
Might learn how to destroy the Scissor Man. The angry little guy.
The small snipping boy.
Small snipping boy. Ugh, Professor Batten and Gods. Do I have to? How about we tell no Ian? And that's all.
Make no Ian do it.
I trust no Ian. Oh.
Losing your head in a library is one of the dangers of being a librarian. These are facts. Much blood has been shed in libraries, and I am not even joking.
Oh, jeez. Allie just gets out the giant scissors when the kids have been too loud.
Basically, yeah. Yeah. Listen, being a librarian, dangerous work. You'll have to ask her about it sometime.
Okay. What bad stuff happens in libraries? Places of reading and learning. You did tell me about where like a bookcase fell on Ellie.
It was a bookshelf, and it was on the ground, and Allie fell on the shelf. And yeah,
Oh,
she had to
that's the
get
other way.
stitches. I had to drive her to the hospital, and she had to get stitches.
She went, "I'm okay," and then she went, "I'm not okay."
Yep. Was it 12 in total? I remember it was a lot. It was a good cut. Like, you got fucked up by that shelf. Again, being a librarian, dangerous work.
Hey, the child's okay.
Hey!
We're getting close to discovering Scissorman's secret.
The secret to Scissor Man?
Where did he find scissors that big?
They're clearly custom made. Where can I order a pair? I do just... Like I was complaining about earlier, I wanted to play Night Cry. I still want to play Night Cry, but it's so expensive for how bad it is.
It's so trash.
Stars, please!
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh! Like, genuinely, that's... Oh! Oh! See what you did there. I see what you did there!
Can we go to Rick's house now? No. Am I going to have to tell the people that I'm supposed to tell? Is he going to make me do that? Horrible.
Sometimes you just gotta tell people about things.
I'm going to the Barrows Castle in England.
Why? Why are these people coming with?
Why are you coming with me, my tiny friend Harris?
He's just a little guy.
He's just a tiny little man. Harris, are you the scissor man? I don't know anyone else that tiny.
Other than Edward.
Other than Edward. It's one or the other.
Technically haven't seen Scissor Man and Edward in the same room. Just saying. We also haven't seen Harris and Scissor Man in the same room.
We hadn't seen Harris and Edward in the same room.
Are you implying that Edward is Harris and Harris is Scissor Man and Scissor Man is Edward? Are you
It's
suggesting
possible.
that they are
I'm
all
just
three
saying
the
it's
same?
possible.
Okay. Okay. Perfect.
It's the guy! The Scaffman.
Ah, yes, Scarfman. The idiot man from the beginning of the game.
Yeah, we love him.
We don't trust him to talk to the media, though. He seems bad at it.
Yeah. It's like he's just explaining the concept of England to the policeman. I am going to England. There is a castle. It is called the Barrows Castle. The castle is in England. I will go to the castle. Thus going to England.
Is it England or England?
England.
Ingle.
Land of the Angles.
England.
So it was, because the Angles lived there. We've been getting it wrong all this time for hundreds of years.
Are the angles acute, obtuse, or right? This is the real question.
Powerful question. Morning angle. Whoa!
that
wiggly
was
boy.
a move. Gots, what are you doing?
All comes back to Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead.
Always. Always.
Or I think you should leave.
One of the three.
I'm just clicking places and hoping it lets me go there.
I mean, it'll tell you if you can't.
Bringing this tiny baby to England.
England.
Do I have to talk to Ian again?
Why do we keep talking to him?
I don't know. I hate him.
Game. Why do we have to talk to this nerd?
I always try and talk to him, even when he doesn't say I have to.
Oh, jeez.
No, Ian, how are you here as well? How are you in two places? Are you Scissor Man? We've seen Scissor Man teleport.
No, Ian might be Scissor Man.
Oh no.
I don't trust him.
I trust no Ian.
He's padded his jacket so he looks like he's a large man, and he's actually standing on stilts right now.
2 scissor men in a trench coat.
Oh no.
Just 2 little guys.
Just little guys? That was a horrible noise. I was not prepared.
I want to see the map of the UK again. So, I have questions.
This is from the before times? Don't worry about it.
The before times. When London was on the southern coast.
Look, I'm bad at geography, okay? Back when you could still get a giant pair of scissors past TSA. Oh boy, y'all remember those days?
Sam has smuggled like a knife through airport security.
What the fuck?
He didn't mean to. He forgot it was in his bag.
He didn't mean to smuggle a weapon here.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Poor girl. Don't worry. I'll help you now.
Where are we? Where is everyone? What's that costume?
Harris?
What's happened? Why are those
I have-
books so big?
Maybe they're just really
He
small.
told me.
Yeah. Scissorman got them with his shrink
If I
ray.
kidnap you, he will give you to me.
Now they're grounded.
He told me to dress up like
It's a
Scissor Man
very,
and kill
very
people.
normal plot. As a treat. As a sweet little...
No,
Jennifer.
don't come any closer.
Get bodied!
Yeah. Probably gone the wrong way. We're a 50-50. What can you do? Correct.
Nice!
Pretend to be a coat. You'll never look there.
It was her putting her arms up for me!
Oh, okay. Well, that works. Let's just get out of there. Only the giant books remain.
Very confused about the giant books.
Many books stacked up. Large, thick books.
Jennifer, are we looking at the same items? That seems like the thing that you would say about the large, thick books that are stacked on
As
the ground.
opposed to the regular books.
Maybe books are
She
just
doesn't
bigger
like
in Norway.
books. Never.
Bad nerd.
She spun around like 360 degrees before she looked at those ones too, and it was great. A chapel.
Wow!
Which one of these pews is Scissorman hiding behind?
Where are you hiding, Scissor Man?
Where are you, Scissorman?
This seems
That's
fine.
fine.
I wouldn't worry about it, actually. Yeah, clearly Scissor Man is the pew, actually. He has disguised himself.
Every one of the seats is Scissorman. Dressed as a seat.
Horrible. Terrible Scissor Man.
That doesn't look right. Why is this crucifix shrugging?
It's actually cheering. It's just really excited to be there.
Oh, jeez, Jennifer, don't look now.
Feels like things sort of escalated very quickly. They got here and it got bad.
You okay? You okay, bud? I think that there might be something else as well as the instrument of torture. There might be something else going on there.
Nah, definitely not. What are you talking about?
Okay, we found him. Oh no! Inspector Gotts! Moving swiftly up.
Got.
Did. In Resident Evil plates now. Now you know it's getting serious. Don't put your face in that. Use any of these torture weapons.
Excuse me, Assistant Inspector Gotts. Devo, don't knock over the box!
Devo.
Here, you want it? Yeah, you can have it. Devo says, I am an agent of chaos! And then immediately panics when I tell him not to do a thing.
No, that one. Because I only want in here when I saw off Scissor Man. And actually explode.
What is this goblin child? That
This is
lady's
fine and
holding?
normal. Maybe it's Tsuchinoko.
Short fat snake boy!
It's a short fat snake. Can I not click any other parts of this? Ah! Game! I want to click! Excuse me?
Oh no.
Scissor Man.
Scissor Man, this is unacceptable?
Did you just show up now?
Nice!
Go that way. That way, please.
Nope.
I didn't want to go that way. Please go through the door, lady. Can't click anything. Hey, Scissor Man. What are you doing, bud? This does not seem like an effective way to do anything.
Oh shit!
Well,
I can't believe Scissor Man is fucking dead.
can I do anything with my items? Do I need... Do candle go? No. It's just 2 candles, and I was like, what if I need to complete this candle structure?
Did we find it?
I'm very lost. No.
We should go back to that room with the statue.
Room with statue.
Yeah.
I think that's the one that I just got chased out of. I was trying to find items.
Yeah.
Oh, Scissor Man. Okay, what thing am I looking at here? There's the weird baby.
How spooky.
Is it in the coats? It's in the fucking courts, of course. Stair key. Have I seen a locked door?
Maybe?
I don't think I did.
Oh. Well.
Found
What's
a
this?
note written in a foreign language.
That is a ladder, actually?
I found foreign note.
Look, we're just here to prank Scissor Man a bunch.
Yeah.
Lots of secondary aspect to this. We're here for pranks. Good goofs.
Was there another door through here? I don't remember there being. Is there a door, like, right towards the camera that I can't see?
Possibly.
Is that what's going on here? Is this a door? A secret door? No? Nope. We have key, we just don't have door to use key on.
Sorry, trying to figure out where we are.
We've not really done a lot since we got here.
Yeah.
Just kind of potted around.
We got that plate that's in here, right?
I got a plate.
Okay. Oh,
How many plates should I have? I have the star plate.
Okay, that's the one that I am looking at.
Cool. Is this a thing? It's not a thing. Is this a thing? Hole in the roof. Can I climb the walls? I've clicked every single item in the universe and nothing has occurred.
Is there, in the room that you were just in, is there a door?
No.
Sorry. Close to, like, us? On the left-hand wall? Is there a door on the left-hand? There's a... Wait.
Trapdoor into gods?
On wall, though.
On wall?
On wall.
I don't see anything on wall.
Because what the guide says is once you have the plate, head through the door on the left wall. Once inside, Jennifer will complain of the smell.
Oh. Forgot that was there.
Oh!
He is kind of in the way.
Just a little bit.
With his feet.
Just given that it, like, specified the left-hand wall, I was like...
Follow the left-hand wall.
Always. Also, hi, Rio! Welcome in! We're pranking Scissor Man. It's great.
Yeah. We dropped the spikes on him. We did a spike prank.
We did a spike prank. Also, thank you, Orchid. We're, I do have a guide pulled up in case we get stuck, because I know that some of the puzzles are a little funky. But every once in a while, if we get stuck and I can't find the guide like that, I wouldn't mind a little hint every so often. We will let you know if we need it, though.
10 out of 10 gentle backseating.
Absolutely. We like to puzzle it through a little bit on our own, but also sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
I was well aware that you'd... Kesh said very early on that, hey, you're always... Everything you do is making choices that can lock you out of endings. It's fine, we're just bumbling through.
Yeah. I figure like the first time through, we can just get whatever ending that we get.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like we're kind of coming up on the end of the game already.
Oh, damn.
So we could always go back through if we want to try and find some of the other endings.
Scissor Man. What are you
Scissor
doing?
Man, that was ridiculous. You've destroyed the very good painting. What are you doing?
Why did I go to this room in particular? It's fine. I'm sure there's anti-Scissor Man technology in here. I have no idea what I'm doing right now. I'm living it.
Oh no!
Hmm.
Wow! Wow!
Oh. I didn't realize he wanted me to click the button until it was too late.
That's okay. Again, this game has decent checkpoints.
Now we know. Oh, right. Another one of our great pranks on Scissorman. Don't worry about it.
Just yeeting him into a hole. We do like
Just
to
in a
put
hole.
man in hole.
We do. I think we're gonna call stream after we get one ending.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
try another run next
weekend.
time. Yeah.
That's acceptable.
I thought that was
Oh.
Scissor Man. Where we're just hanging out there. He's just not even trying anymore.
He's just chilling. He's tired of getting things thrown at him, getting bonked.
You,
Pushed up cliffs.
Professor Barton?
Hey, Professor. How you doing? Have you seen Foreign Note?
Professor Barton?
Oh, okay. Am I not allowed to tell him about Foreign Note?
I'm not injured. This is an extremely important experience for me.
Sir, what?
Because here I am at the site of the murders. A very, very intriguing situation.
Barton, are you one of those weird true crime folks that...
This is so interesting.
Oh, Professor Barton.
I'm bleeding.
I know something
Wow.
I would like you to
This
know.
is wild.
What does this say?
Scissor Man's just a little goober
It is in Latin.
who gets pranked a lot. It's very good. Love
To
it.
open the door.
Speak, friend, and enter. I feel like that you just still have the
Below
note
that is written
floating in front of him.
Nha-e-sh.
We
What
doing
does it mean?
Cthulhu chants over here?
I don't know. It means to open the door just as
I
it
am not going to
says,
remember that. I hope I don't have
but
to
it doesn't
remember that.
say which door.
A door.
Ah, he. I'm sure it's
Yeesh.
I'm sure it's fine. Not even an issue.
Hiya Cthulhu, hiya Dagon.
No, get excited about this game.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
We don't know nothing and we're goobers, but all as temper your enthusiasm for this game.
Right? I don't know. I've been really enjoying like playing some of these like I said, like some of these older games that we've been checking out on the weekends, and just like having people just randomly show up and be like, oh, "I really like this game." It's like, cool, good. Get excited about it with us, or get more excited than we are.
Probably worse for Fuck with Siren, where we're just yelling at Yoriko the whole time.
Yeah, yeah. Siren
What's
was
in
an
the stew pot?
experience.
What strange is inside? Tell me what is in the... Garbage can. There's something on the bottom. I will never tell you what it is. That's for me to know. Can I clock Scissor Man with a frying pan?
Definitely read that as a stoat frying pan, and I was very confused.
Be that as it may, I want to hit the man over the head with it.
Fling that stoat around. Smack Scissor Man with the stoat.
Yeah. What
Just
these
some-
cans?
Just some dried up goods.
Cans of food. I'd get sick if I ate food.
You don't know that.
Can't be eating food.
Oh, if they're swollen and distorted, then yes, absolutely. Sorry, I was like, you don't know that they've got botulism in them? No, she
Scissor Man
does.
came down and broke every can.
Horrible. Terrible.
What a monster.
What kind of beast?
I am so lost.
Yeah, I'm starting
Everywhere
to
leads
start-
to everywhere. Oh!
Oh!
Oh, it's the door to nowhere.
That doesn't lead to everywhere.
Can you not die? Okay.
Ben,
No,
I'm real glad that you figured out the panic button.
Yeah, me too. Have I been in these? I think I've been in these, but I can't remember. Yeah, we've been in these. Everything just kind of loops around. Oh. There's so many doors here.
Yeah. Can you imagine just burning the place down? I have
Plus,
direction whenever you're. Oh well, when you're not dealing with Scissor Man.
oh, am I dealing with Scissor Man? I didn't notice the music.
I heard the snip snip.
There he is. Why were I going this way? Oh, right, I'm gonna bop him with the saucepan.
That's
I can
great. 'Cause
find
that's the general area that you want to be in anyway.
Nice. That's the wrong room.
Slash.
That's the corridor to nowhere.
Oh.
Scissor Man, how did you get over there, bud? Okay, let's go somewhere else, actually. Maybe we don't need to hit him with the saucepan today. What's in this door?
Door things.
Yeah,
Or maybe just,
that's nice in there. Oh,
that's
let's
a
not go
problem.
there either.
That's an issue.
Okay, you fool! We rused you!
Back to the kitchen we go!
Now we can get to the kitchen!
Honestly, signage. If they could put some signs up in this dang castle, that would be great.
Is this where the kitchen lives? Can I push him out the door to nowhere?
Kitchen?
Is that the pointy one in the middle with the garden? Kitchen!
Hey!
Yes!
Perfect.
It's time.
Perfect. Gonna bonk a lad!
Oh yeah!
Oh, perfect.
Okay, I'm in the kitchen. Gosh, where do we go?
You want to be in the storeroom.
I'm in the storeroom.
There's a thing in the storeroom.
Is it this thing in the middle of the floor that I can click for some reason?
correct.
Floorboards are loose. Can I smash it with this big box?
I haven't gotten that far. I just know that there's a thing in there that you need. Okay.
The statue.
Oh. Search the shelves.
I searched the shelves and it said, oh, it's a lot of bad food. Dried up garbage. Bad cans. Oh, now there's not just bad cans.
I think you needed to look at the floor before you could spot the switch.
Let's jump in the hole.
Put woman in hole.
Yeah, oh, it's fun in there. Now we drink all of the wine.
Rio, have you heard about Nightcry?
Don't. Don't do that to someone.
Would you like a spiritual successor to to Clock Tower? Let me tell you about Nightcry. Nightcry. If somebody wants to give me $25, I will play Nightcry on stream.
I clicked that so many times. Hey, Key.
Also,
Nightcry's very bad.
Nightcry is horrible, and I would not actually recommend it. But it is a modern spiritual that is correct, Shadow. It's a spiritual failure.
Said something made a noise and I completely ignored it. I probably shouldn't.
I started watching someone play Nightcry at one point, and then I stopped because I was like, this is horrible and I need to play it. And then I realized that it's $25 and it never goes on sale.
Scissorman. That's fine.
But it looked like there was a thing back there.
Scissorman.
Well, besides
The thing is
Scissorman on the
Scissorman.
floor. Kick him! Kick him!
You have to click on so many times.
But yeah, Nightcry never goes on sale, and I'm not paying a full price for how bad that game is.
Wait, am I not in Scissorman mode?
Not anymore.
Because we kicked him.
Yeah.
We got all this work to get rid of Scissorman. We just need to shove him over.
Just push the little lad over. What's he gonna do about it?
Can I look behind here now? No, is that time to dematerialize? Oh, there. Look behind that.
Over there.
Just a nook for Scissorman.
Not a Scissorman nook. This is horrible.
Just your classic Scissorman nook. Super Great Friend did a playthrough of Nightcry that was amazing.
Yeah, but Super Great Friend is just great.
It's very good. He used to do like weird horror games, but he played Crying Is Not Enough, and I think that just ruined. That was just too far.
Have that on my wish list.
Oh no.
Because I've heard that it's not good.
It's not great.
Also,
no use.
I think you might have to go back and like click on the ground.
Where am I clicking the ground?
In the basement under the kitchen.
Unbelievable.
I'm so sorry.
Nightcry not good.
Nightcry bad.
I got the key.
Oh, okay. Okay, never mind then.
Yeah, we have key. Well, the key we just used automatically, I think.
You've not heard of Nightcry because it's real bad. Yeah. Don't actually play it. Don't do that to yourself.
Yeah. It
Real
never goes on
talk,
sale.
though.
It's
Never.
not worth it as a joke.
No. Not good. I think like an actual modern remake of this would be very, very good though.
Is this
Like
a good
proper
idea?
remake?
All the Scissorman's coming.
Probably not.
As soon as he came, I was like, "Oh, okay, time to go across this narrow
This
bridge."
tiny bridge.
Oh,
Oh!
friends!
No, Ian! Oh, the crunchy noise!
This is the skeleton room where the
Jennifer.
skeletons nap.
Nolan,
Good
You're
nap room for
alive.
skeletons.
where is everyone?
I don't know.
I
Scissorman
have a
attacked
bone
us,
room.
and
It's-
everyone's scattered.
Wait, I have to be careful about how I say this because I was just.
Oh.
There's no good way to phrase this. I
Nolan,
have
hurt
bones
your
in my
leg.
bedroom.
Just a cut.
But, like,
I'll be all right if I rest.
actual bones.
Nolan, I'll go.
By yourself?
You got like a cow skull, right,
After
with
I
flowers
found and
on it.
killed him.
Yeah, I have. Well, that's
Yeah.
that's in my loft.
Ah, that's not part of the Bone Horde.
It's not part of the bone horde. Wowie!
Weird. Okay, so what were you
was
saying,
that?
Noyan?
You saw them too?
Yeah, don't put kids in your bone room. That's
I've seen them a
incorrect.
few times already.
We don't need
They are
kids
probably
singing
the ghosts
spooky
of the children
tunes
killed here.
in the room. Or you'll get put on a list.
So many.
Please. Be careful about where you put your child ghosts.
You don't want to talk to me anymore. Well,
Sick of your
I'll leave
shit.
you to it. Have fun in the skeleton house. Hey, the outline of the ghosts were there again from the emulator weakliness.
I have noticed a couple of times when you've when you've come into like different rooms and like the scissor man will like appear in the corner. Very good.
Oh. How did I get back here?
Oh my god. No, that's fair. That's fair. 8's a little young to be playing this game. It's fine, I'm sure.
I didn't play horror games when I was 8. I was scared of the big snake in Final Fantasy VII. I can't play actual horror games.
Horror games be spooky sometimes.
I thought you were gonna jump. Bro, I shouldn't go near the ravine. Fair.
I'm gonna slip and fall and die!
Tammin would jump over there.
Okay, but Tammin's a badass.
I love Tammin.
I love Tammin. Tammin was the best character, hands down, that came out of Siren.
Right. Most of them by the end?
I mean, yeah, but Tammin was the best.
Yeah.
But hear me out. Tammin, kinda dope. Cool dude. I wish Siren was more playable.
Yeah. We watched we didn't like do the getting everything in order and like trying to put everything into a coherent timeline.
It's too
Because there was
much.
someone who'd already done it, so we just watched that.
It was very good and made everything make more sense.
It
I
did.
should post that in spoiler discussion so other people can check it out if they want. It's a real good game, real good story.
Scissorman, are you in there? That's an that's a Scissorman hiding spot.
That's a Scissorman.
All on the wall. Makes sense.
Well, that was a horrible noise in my one ear.
Key!
Hey!
Library key.
Time to go to the
I hide under the bed from Scissorman, who is in the wardrobe here. Come out, Scissorman. I've been rused again. Classic Scissorman prank.
Got it.
Okay, where was the locked door?
That is a good question.
Where was door was locked? This thing. Scissorman in this tiny box?
Scissorman, are you here? Scissorman, where are you?
This is where he jumped through the wall.
Oh, it is! Kind of silly.
Looking at the ads, and he just dived in through the wall.
I do love all the weird places he just pops out from.
He's got a lot of tricks.
Like, what are you doing, man? You've made some choices with your life, and I gotta ask, why?
I have seen locked door around here, right?
Yeah?
Is this the library?
Does have a very big padlock on it.
Yeah. No, that's
it's a
the
door
chapel.
to a chapel.
And it won't budge. Unbudgeable.
Not unbudgeable.
I think I found it when I was wandering around up here, but it could have been it. It's the first door.
Hey!
Perfect.
Hooray! You found it!
Sorry, everyone. I'm very bad at directions.
It doesn't help that this castle is literally impossible to navigate.
Very large.
To be fair, I am also lost. So you're doing great, actually.
Ooh. Take the dry path when choosing among the three.
It means to take the dry path.
Don't get wet.
Jennifer.
Your shoes will thank you.
Uh-oh.
You can't be hiding right in front of me, because that she'd be able to see him. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, but there's still that moment of it being like, there's a Scissorman in here. He's hiding in here. Doesn't look like that can move. Looks like there were scratches on the floor.
Whoa.
Can you find
Oh, yeah, this one.
a book?
Did I find a book?
Can you find a book?
Is the play a book?
No.
No. There are many books here. Can we not use any of these books?
Jennifer, take your pick. Pick a book. Any
one on
book.
top.
Oh!
Yeah. Go up the
Oh.
footstool and get the book off the top, lady. Okay, it's a box. Yeah, but there's a footstool!
Can you click on the footstool now? One of those
Okay.
stupid.
We just
order-
gotta do everything in the right order. It's fine. See
Thanks for
you,
stopping
Orchid.
in, Orchid. Oh. Awesome. Well, thank you for stopping in. We'll maybe see you later. Have a good one.
Quentin Barrows. Trier. I have genealogy.
Orchid's final hint is it is on the book we're looking for is on the first floor somewhere.
Yeah.
Also, thank you
Just
for the
hide your.
hydrate, Nem.
Now have to double hydrate.
Gotta double hydrate. Yeah, I'm not impressed with this water flavoring.
I'm assuming Orchid is probably American. And therefore the first floor is the ground floor. And not the second floor.
Oh.
This is
Yeah.
fun.
Forgot that's
Can we
a
do a
thing?
hopper? Do a big hopper?
just leap on over.
Yeah. If anyone sees a book, tell me you've seen the book. Wonder if you could just loop Scissor Man around these stairs forever.
Oh, jeez. Probably. I mean, like, he's slow enough.
Yeah, can you loop in this game?
Going all DBD with it. Loop the killer.
Yeah. Can we loop the killer in there?
When is Dead by Daylight adding Scissor Man as a killer? When are we getting Jennifer as a survivor?
It's just the worst killer who can't do shit. Oh, that's the guy. I shouldn't have said that. He heard me. Have you seen anything we could use on the Scissor Man?
There was that door to nowhere. I don't know if
Yeah,
that
can
would
we use
work.
the door to nowhere on Scissor Man?
Is that an option?
She's using it. Okay, I would have not walked out of the door myself. But to each their own. She got caught twice by the door to nowhere.
Look, we can talk bad shit, because we'll just yeet him out of a door to nowhere. I don't see a problem here.
Thinks we won't walk out the door to nowhere, but we will. That's why we'll always defeat Scissor Man.
We're not a fucking coward. Oh my god, I can understand why getting chased by Scissor Man might get annoying after a while, but also,
Cool to see him eat shit.
yeah. I like knowing that our slashers are fallible. I need to know that they can make mistakes and get fucked up.
I don't want to sit on this sofa.
Beggars can't be choosers.
Lady being chased by Scissor Man. I haven't explored this like whole half of the building, have I?
Oh jeez. Well, that means there's lots that we can do. Can you hide under there? No.
Book!
Book!
Oh,
Oh!
there is a book. I will pick up the book. Copper book. What?
Yeah. Alright!
Just a head.
Okay. Sure!
It's a lovely hand. Do we still press? Am I still going?
Still going?
Can we? Is this forever? Look at that. Those squares.
That is.
She died.
Oh.
Okay, don't own that. You have to press square like 10 million times. don't look at that. It's not worth it. If you ever get bored and stop, then you're just dead. Is the book still here? Book! Draw is bad. Full of hand. That is the longest mesh section I've ever seen. We're gonna not play with hand. Should we just bring the book back? Let's just bring the book back.
It's library time.
Yeah, we'll remember that if we need more items, it's probably in this section.
But will we remember?
No. Never. How unbothered she is by the whole situation. Sometimes I make a run, but it's normally by accident. I just like it to stomp away when the Scissorman's going.
Stomps are very good.
Weird book.
Book time! Book time! Book time!
Yeah. I know. Put the book in the fucking... Why is she like this?
Jennifer.
Okay. Do I use it without using the book?
That's
And then she goes, hey, I have this book. I'll put that in. No? Yeah, but it's in your hand, lady. It's here. Here is the book. I found it. Found the
Jennifer,
book.
please! Jennifer, please!
Is this what I do? I don't know how to make her acknowledge the fact that she's holding the book that she needs.
Hold on.
She just what?
This is terrible. Why won't she do it?
Why won't you book? That's fine. I guess I'll go check downstairs. Why won't she use the copper book on the shelf of copper books with one missing? I don't understand.
You might have to look at the scratches first.
Oh.
Because of course you do. Game, please! Game, please! I'm so sorry.
Oh, there we go. I'm allowed to look at the scratches now. There are scratch marks. It's almost as if something moved. Now she'll do it. And she's still surprised when he moves. Okay. Who do we trust? It said try and not get wet, right? So the sun
Yeah?
keeps going all the way down. Do they all go all the way down?
Do we...
See nothing.
the plates? I genuinely don't know.
Oops. I
Oh!
accidentally went
Oh!
down the moon one.
Oh!
Trying to use a candle. No! What the?
You're almost a Jennifer sandwich.
Okay, so if you try and use the candle to be able to see further down the hole, she'll actually just climb down it. Let's go in the sun one. The moon is our enemy.
Moon is bad. We understand now.
Let's go. Always trust the sun. That's what I say. Hey, it's the sun.
Always trust the sun. Unless it starts melting you, in which case don't trust the sun.
Hey, sun, why would you do this?
Sun, it's 8 o'clock at night and it's still 27°C. Sun!
Oh no.
How
Oh
can
no.
you do this? No, it is significantly better today than it has been the last few days. I will
Found a
still
weird
complain.
Aaron.
Oh.
Flaw. Flaw stuff.
You have to look at every pixel ever. Hey, you got a dagger.
Nice. I have a skeleton.
Excuse you, zombie!
That is just a zombie.
Oh.
Okay.
You weren't...
It didn't tell me I needed to do
Yeah,
anything.
you didn't...
Just got zombied.
You...
I guess I don't touch that.
No,
Because
you
the
need
zombie.
that.
But if I touch it, I die.
You have to very quickly click on the door, is
Oh,
what
for
the
God's
guide says.
I didn't even know it were like interactive. I was waiting for it to tell me to press square.
Yeah, no, it says to very quickly click the door or else you
Horrible.
will die. That's rude. That is incredibly rude.
Sorry. What bad zombie?
Horrible zombie. We trusted
Well-
Sun, and this is what it's done to us. Gave us daggers and zombies.
We have knife now.
We do have knife now.
Knife.
Knife!
Use knife on head.
Apply knife to forehead.
Oh no. Okay,
Now what?
now, obviously what we do now is we explore the bottom floor. Just keep wandering back over there.
Yeah?
Just keep wandering back and forth until the mysteries
something
are
occurs.
solved.
I do know where you need to go next, if you would like some direction.
What? Oh, okay. Where do we go?
You wanna go check out where Barton was?
Who is Batten?
Ascot Man.
Okay.
Scarfman.
I think I remember vaguely where he was.
I don't remember where
He's
he
in
was.
here.
I just know that I can give you general pointers. This castle is gigantic. And
It's a little large. He was here.
And then you should be there's a thing in here that you can interact with. That's not just me being vague. I don't remember what I read. Hold on. I want to look around the fountain.
I looked around the fountain. It just brings me back to the middle of the fountain.
Can you look at the greenery?
I can look at the greenery. No one is taking care of these trees and plants. Gotta get Emmy on the phone. No one's taking care of the trees and plants.
There should be
this tree important? I don't want to use the door behind it.
A trap door that we can interact with? Is there that
There's this
white
weird plate over
plate?
here, but I can't do anything with it.
Weird. Okay, hold on. Click on
Are
the
you sure this
second
isn't for if
tree.
we...
Click on
The
the second
second...
tree to the right
All
of
the
the
trees.
fountain.
All the trees are different trees. This is horrible.
Yeah.
I thought it would just... using the
Yeah.
entire block of trees.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. I'm very much just skimming over this to sort of be, again, just do like vague direction. And then I actually read it and I'm like, oh, you want us to click on this specific thing. Okay.
I've seen the drain valve. I cannot interact with the drain valve still.
Hold on a second.
Do I stab the tree?
It says click on the second tree to the right of the fountain to use the valve and drain the fountain.
She didn't use it.
Can you...
Is this for a different ending than we were allowed?
I don't think so.
She is not using it. She sees it and she says, oh hey, drain valve, and then doesn't use the drain valve.
Hang on a minute.
Lady, I'm confused.
We got the dagger. And after we get the dagger, make your way to the fountain room where Professor Barton was.
It's not there now.
Okay, maybe we're missing something then.
Ugh.
Hold on. 2 seconds.
I'm exploring the part I haven't explored yet.
Can you look at those pictures, actually?
These pictures?
Yeah.
Oh, well, not while she's doing that. Is Scissor Man in them? I can. I thought I tried. Quentin Barrows.
As I say, I think you can look at these now because you've got the genealogy tree.
Hidden the map in the library. We gotta expel the devil children from the world.
That there's a map in the library?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on a second. I mean, do what you're gonna do, but I'm gonna read for a moment.
Scissorman could be involved.
Something tells me that Scissorman might be involved in some of these endings.
Quentin, where's the map you hid in the library? I need it. Unless it's the knife. Is knife his map?
Is knife his map? Oh.
Maybe I can search something I didn't know about before, but she wouldn't look at before because I didn't know there was a map in the library. I think this is for hitting Scissorman with.
Probably.
Stands out too much to be nothing. Is there a map in there? It's too dark. Can we use candle?
Uh-oh. Oh, excuse me?
Okay, apparently that's wrong. It's not where anything's hidden. Okay. Thanks, Gam.
Alright. Okay. have we found some matches?
I don't have matches.
Okay.
Do I
we'll
need
go
matches?
to the main hall.
There's matches in the main hall?
No, not in the main hall, but there is a room off of the main hall where you should be able to find someone who can give you some matches.
Oh.
So you might need to go...
Which way from main hall?
That's a good question. From one of the lounges? Maybe it's the lounge that we haven't fully, or we started exploring, but like didn't get past. The one that I told you to stop and look at the pictures at. That might
Keep
be the one that
coming
we
back
over.
here and then ended
I'm
up wandering off.
I'm so sorry.
It's fine.
But maybe
I
we'll
needed
find
to
a
look
new...
at the picture anyway.
Do like this idea of rock, paper, scissors with Scissor Man. We are paper.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Every item is a rock. Because rock beats scissor. Paper beats rock.
This leads to here.
This is horrible.
Which means I've been in some of these places, or possibly all of these places.
Okay.
Everything's horrible.
Basically, we're trying to find Tim. We're trying to find our good pal Tim.
Where is Tim? Where would Tim go? Here's the kitchen. I'm back at the kitchen.
What the guide said is go back into the lounge where you crawled out of the fireplace.
Is this the door? No. If so, I'm
so.
just gonna let it fall. No.
Not a door nowhere. So
This one must be the door. No.
after being in the main hall, you go back into the lounge where you crawled out of the fireplace?
Yeah.
Inside you should find Tim?
I remember
Okay.
where that is. For the first time ever. No, Ian's fine. He's in the skeleton room.
Yeah. No, Ian's having a great
Just
time
hanging
in the
out.
skeleton room. He's hanging out with all the skeletons.
There he
Hey!
is! What caused him to appear here?
I have no idea, but he's here.
I've been here a great many times.
Why is his ass smoking?
His ass is on fire. Oh no.
Oh, Tim is dead.
Tim's just got the bad ass.
Not the badass.
Matches.
Hey, there's some matches.
So now I can check the the place, the fireplace. Possibly.
Okay, hold on.
Without being pulled up into the chimney. Hopefully, maybe, potentially.
After this, we look at the picture of Quentin Barrows. We did that. Yes. Now we use the matches.
Nice. Do
On
we
the
use
fireplace.
match on candle, or do we
I think you use match on
fire?
the fireplace. Hold on.
You motherfucker! Will you just do anything right, please?
Take the candle from your inventory, put it into the dark candle holder you will find on the left end of the desk.
What?
Oh, there's a candle holder on that desk. The big gold thing.
I can't click it.
Oh.
Don't let me click that. It just lets me click the middle of the desk. Wait. Okay, it does now.
And then you should be able to light it? Uh-oh.
Please. Lady.
No, just, use the shelf.
Alright, I didn't realize that was happening. Ah!
I think I can hear the scissors.
Yeah, you can hear it way
more
better than
easily
me.
than you can, sorry.
It's fine. Don't worry about it. Just a little guy. Hey!
I was getting worried because it seemed like he was able to open the door more easily with you pushing on the on the dresser.
Okay, so I'm gonna need you to cool it for a minute, Scissor Man. Ah, that's a reusable one, I think. It's just very specific. The tiny area you're allowed to click on over there.
Yeah. I'm stuck on the back.
Passage under the fountain. And now I'm allowed to go to do the fountain stuff.
Now we can do the fountain. Okay. Again, the way that this is laid out is very much like, you have to do this in a very specific order. And it's like, that's fine and all, but like, you don't. But it makes it very difficult when trying to figure out what's going on.
Most of the siren guides were like that, and it was incomprehensible.
Well, it doesn't help that Siren is just a fucking mess as a whole. Like, this is wiggly, but this is at least a little more linear.
Yeah.
You're not having to juggle 15 different timelines.
Now am I allowed to use the drain valve?
Yeah, you are.
It disappeared when I used it.
Hey.
Okay. There we go. Going for. Yeah! Palladian Hall.
This is it. This is the end of the game.
Oh, dang.
So
She
most
can
of this.
just get crushed going down the ladder. It's like, well, you should have found the item spare.
Well, hey, Edward.
Edward,
Edward.
are you all right?
Jennifer, I found a way out.
Where?
Lovely.
It's over there. Everyone else is already there.
Ah, I trust Edward.
Really?
Oh shit! It's the blood.
It's
not
at the end. Oh
no,
my
there
God.
should be.
Oh! It's rolling credits. She just gets owned by a baby, and that's the end. Ending rank D. Survivor unidentified.
Okay. Okay.
I think we did it bad. But
I-
also, I think it goes all the way to ending E, so that wasn't actually the worst ending.
Oh,
There's one
no.
worse than that, apparently.
I don't have a list about E.
It's fine.
I thought we were.
What?
So I was a little confused.
I clicked the wrong thing.
Because I thought we were on the path for ending A, which is
Apparently not.
not the case.
It's not quite where we're at.
No.
Oh, can you imagine if I just accidentally blundered my way to ending A the first run?
How great would that be?
Main character is determined by the number of times Harris is spoken to in the corridor during the prologue.
So if you speak to him once, you'll get to play as. Oh yeah, there it is. If you speak to him once, you'll get to play as Helen. If you speak to him more than that, you get to play as Jennifer.
Find an item in Part 1 for the best item. Clicking on some item will rescue the character. Thank you. Click on something until the very end. Don't be careful of the item she's given by Harris. I don't remember what item she was given by Harris.
Was that the...
Or was I Jennifer?
You were Jennifer.
Jennifer is the protagonist in the last scenario. When she's trying to escape and runs out onto the 2F terrace, if you click on... End of hint.
Okay, alright.
Helen has to be careful of the item given to her by Harris.
Alright, well that's...
That's up Clock Tower.
That's Clock Tower.
That was fun, I liked it.
I enjoyed this.
We just dunked Scissorman over and over again.
Yeah! And that's pretty
And then
great.
we're in turn dunked by a baby and destroyed. Are we looking for someone to raid?
Yeah.
There's a chance Arcade Kitten is doing a developer playthrough of Cemetery Mary right now.
Do you know why? It's because today is the 2nd anniversary of the release of Cemetery Mary. We should go say hi to Arcade Kitten.
Yeah, we should.
Because we love arcade here. This was great and fantastic, and I loved it. And you're gonna do it again next weekend?
Yeah, sure.
Alright.
I'll see if we can improve on ending D.
I have faith in us. Now that we understand how the full game works, we got this.
Yeah, we'll try Helen's game. Helen's story.
Hey! Alright, let's go do a raid for Arcade Kitten. Playing some Cemetery Mary, the game that she made. As always, thank you everyone for being here and being wonderful and fantastic and wonderful and fantastic and wonderful and fantastic. Schedule for this week is going to be wiggly. I don't know what I'm going to do, when I'm going to do it. It all just depends on weather and how tired I am.
Need the sun to go away.
Need the sun to go away. It has dropped 2 degrees in the last half hour, so hopefully it's starting to cool down a bit. I think it's supposed to be better this week, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And you're busy with apartment stuff.
Yeah, but it's fine.
But I think my streams will be back up, so we got that.
Oh no.
I'm planning on streaming normally.
Hold on. I stopped watching the stream and then it all just went away. So now it's just a big blank screen. It's fine. We're gonna go say hi to Arcade now, so it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Alright. Goodbye, everyone.
Yeah.
Bye, friends.